Georgia, November 2021. Federal agents stood in a seemingly ordinary suburban home, focusing not on a safe house, but on an inconspicuous bathroom closet. They were hunting for a staggering fortune built on pure digital anonymity. The discovery they made inside was almost unbelievable. Tucked away within an old popcorn tin, beneath a jumble of blankets, was a tiny, custom-made circuit board, a DIY crypto wallet. On that single piece of hardware rested the keys to over 50,000 bitcoins, valued at the time of seizure at more than $3.3 billion. It was, quite simply, the largest cache of dark web loot ever recovered by law enforcement. This was the solution to a decade-long mystery. For 10 years, this immense fortune, stolen from the notorious Silk Road marketplace, had vanished into the digital ether without a trace. No one knew who took it until one tiny, almost laughably small mistake, a transfer of just $200, unraveled the entire operation. This story proves that in the age of digital currency, the blockchain never forgets. This is the definitive account of how one soft-spoken millionaire, an unlikely criminal mastermind, almost got away with looting the dark web's most notorious market. Welcome to this cybercrime documentary from the Digital Sleuth. To truly understand the audacity of the theft, we have to look back to September 2012. The dark web was flourishing, and Silk Road was its crowning, notorious achievement, functioning as an eBay for illegal goods. Hidden behind Tor encryption, illegal services, drugs, and weapons were traded. Crucially, payments were exclusively made in Bitcoin, a new digital currency that seemed, at the time, to be beyond the reach of any government. Ross Ulbricht, the site's kingpin, known as Dread Pirate Roberts, was making millions in commissions. But with that much money flowing, opportunities for exploitation inevitably arose. Somewhere in the digital shadows, a young, self-taught computer whiz had identified a critical flaw, a subtle vulnerability in Silk Road's payment withdrawal system. His plan was simple and yet incredibly bold. Trick the system into releasing more Bitcoin than an account actually held. The hacker, only 22 years old, set up 9 fake Silk Road accounts. These were not for buying or selling. These burner accounts were created solely as escape routes for stolen Bitcoin. He began by depositing a small amount, say 500 BTC, which was worth about $6,600 back in 2012. Then, he exploited a flaw in the system's timing. In a split second, he triggered a rapid-fire flurry of withdrawal requests. The system, confused by the simultaneous demands, processed each request as valid and paid out the 500 BTC multiple times. His 500 BTC deposit instantly turned into 2,000 BTC credited back. He essentially netted 1,500 coins, having printed digital money from thin air by exploiting a fundamental security failure. He repeated this successful trick across all his burner accounts, with one account even executing over 50 rapid withdrawals before the site's administrators noticed. In total, he siphoned approximately 50,000 Bitcoin. Amazingly, no one noticed the theft in real time. Amidst the thousands of daily illicit trades, a subtle timing glitch wasn't immediately obvious. The hacker escaped into the wind with the funds before the leak could be plugged. He moved swiftly to cover his tracks, consolidating the vast loot into 2 large, anonymous wallets, one holding 40,000 BTC and the other 10,000 BTC. On the transparent public ledger of the blockchain, all that was visible were anonymous coins moving to new, untraceable addresses. He had not used malware or extortion, only superior timing. It was the perfect, silent, digital heist. The hacker's next step was the hardest: vanish. And for nearly a decade, he became a ghost. In October 2013, the FBI shut down Silk Road, but Ulbricht's records offered no clues about the missing 50,000 BTC. Meanwhile, that initial $600,000 stash was growing into a financial leviathan. As Bitcoin's price climbed exponentially, the 50,000 BTC swelled from millions into hundreds of millions, then to billions of dollars. The Phantom's identity was finally revealed as James Zhong. In 2012, when he executed the hack, he was a two-year-old student living quietly in Athens, Georgia. He did not fit the profile of a criminal mastermind. With his newly acquired theoretical wealth, Zhong was incredibly cautious. He knew that any large conversion of BTC into cash would immediately alert authorities, so he adopted a strategy of extreme patience. For years, his primary wallet sat untouched. He only made careful, calculated moves to obscure the funds further, a necessary process of digital money laundering. Between 2013 and 2017, he slowly dribbled the Bitcoin into new addresses, splitting them up and using cryptocurrency mixers to break the traceable link back to the Silk Road hack. By 2019, his trove was worth billions on paper. He began channeling some of the funds into legitimate ventures to clean the money. He invested $5 million into a real estate development company in Tennessee. He also amassed physical assets that couldn't be frozen on a blockchain, including gold, silver bars, and $661,000 in cash. He was prudent, diversifying the illicit wealth while confident he was invisible. But while Zhong was playing the long game, law enforcement was rapidly catching up. The IRS, the FBI, and private blockchain analysts were becoming exponentially better at tracing cryptocurrency. Investigators knew the 50,000 BTC was out there. For years, the coin sat dormant or moved through mixers, frustrating every attempt at a lead. They were playing a waiting game, hoping the thief would eventually slip up. After years of extreme restraint, James Zhong's confidence began to grow. He believed he had executed the perfect cybercrime. Then, sometime in 2019, he made the catastrophic decision to test the waters. He decided to cash out a minimal amount of his fortune and almost throw away some of about $200 worth of Bitcoin. He sent it from one of his storage wallets to an account on a major, regulated cryptocurrency exchange. Crucially, this exchange followed strict KYC, or Know Your Customer, rules, requiring a verified, real-world identity. This single, tiny transfer was the mistake that unraveled a billion-dollar mystery. The blockchain never forgets. When Zhong moved that small amount of Bitcoin, the transaction combined inputs from his Silk Road loot wallet with an account verifiably tied to his real identity at the exchange. Chain analysis agents instantly flagged the activity. Their algorithms showed that funds entering the KYC-verified account could be traced all the way back to the 2012 Silk Road hack. This was the break they had waited for. Agents quietly obtained the required KYC data from the exchange. The name, email, and IP address of the recipient account was James Zhong, located in Gainesville, Georgia. After 10 years of dead ends, they finally had their man. The investigation accelerated. Federal agents began discreetly surveilling Zhong. His low-key, ordinary life only confirmed he was the right suspect, avoiding the kind of flashy spending that would typically draw immediate attention. By November 2021, the feds had enough evidence for a search warrant. They knew digital evidence could be destroyed instantly, so they planned the raid carefully to catch him off guard. On November 9, 2021, IRS criminal investigation agents descended on Zhong's home. The search was on for any device that could hold the private keys to the immense digital fortune. An agent eventually located an old Cheetos popcorn tin in a bathroom closet. It felt strangely heavy. Inside, they found a tiny circuit board, the hiding spot for a simple DIY crypto wallet device. On that device lay the private keys controlling 50,491 Bitcoin. They had found the $3.3 billion jackpot. In a hidden underground safe, they found more hard drives along with the $661,000 in cash and the precious metals. All of it was traced directly back to the Silk Road Heist. The agents had seized one of the largest piles of cryptocurrency in DOJ history, proving they would follow the money, even to a circuit board at the bottom of a popcorn tin. The news stunned the world. James Zhong was unmasked as perhaps the biggest individual crypto thief ever, having operated as the invisible nemesis in the Silk Road story. Facing overwhelming evidence, Zhong cooperated. Hoping for leniency, he voluntarily handed over an additional 1,004 BTC he had stored elsewhere. In November 2022, James Zhong pleaded guilty to wire fraud. The judge, at sentencing in April 2023, noted the extraordinary circumstances, with wire fraud typically carrying up to 20 years. But because Zhong cooperated fully and surrendered every penny of the $3.3 billion in Bitcoin, the judge showed mercy. The final verdict was 1 year and 1 day in prison, just 366 days, plus a complete forfeiture of all the criminal assets. Zhong essentially traded a decade of risky freedom for 1 year in prison, losing his entire immense fortune in the process. He had almost gotten away with everything, but he lost in the end. His story is a chilling but satisfying message to digital criminals. The transparency of the blockchain is the enemy of any long-term cybercrime operation. Any link between an anonymous wallet and a verified identity will eventually be exploited. As the U.S. Attorney promised, we will follow the money and hold you accountable no matter how sophisticated your scheme and no matter how long it takes. It took almost a decade, but they kept their promise. James Zhong pulled off the biggest crypto heist you've never heard of. If you want to understand how the dark web's most infamous empire rose and fell before his theft, you should check out our other episode on the Silk Road.